Hi, hello, hope you're in fine voice. Sometimes when you've done your recording, you play it back and your voice sounds a little bit muffled. It's a little bit boomy at the bassier end. And that can sort of interfere with the recording really and doesn't make it as easy to listen to. And especially if you're listening on decent speakers, monitor speakers or on headphones or whatever. And especially if you've got music there as well. Now, if you're getting that effect, what you need to do is take off some of those bottom end notes, really. And there are a couple of ways of doing that. One is if you have a microphone with a low cut, then you're able to use that. Now, this will essentially cut the bass, roll it off. You can see there that it sort of, the line drops at the bottom and it's rolling off the bass. And that means it's cutting the bottom notes, usually cutting them below 80 hertz. So that's where the human voice doesn't really exist and doesn't want to exist. That will crisp up the sound that you're getting, kind of make it better fidelity really. It's more finesse, I guess, that you're adding to the voice or taking away those muddier bottom end notes. So that's one way. Now a lot of microphones don't have that low cut option. They don't have it on the device. So then you have to go and use your software, really, your DAW, D-A-W, your digital audio workstation. So if you are using something sophisticated like Logic, for example, if you're on a Mac, you simply go into Equalisation and you can roll off the bottom end of the notes. So the boomier end of your voice. And again, it will have the same effect. It's called a high-pass filter. It's counterintuitive, really, because what you're doing is you're not taking off the higher notes, even though the name sort of indicates that you might be. It is rather confusing. But you're letting through the high-pass all the higher notes are being passed through. They're being allowed through at the expense of the boomier lower notes, really. So that will again crisp up the sound of your recording. If you're using Audacity, then equalization is a good way to go to. So if you go to the equalization option and then just have a look at the voice roll-off, and you'll see that will allow the kind of bassier notes. Again, similar sort of thing, and you can see that's rolled off there nicely at about 80 hertz. A nice gentle roll off, allowing you to still sound great and allowing that sound to really have a presence and cut through. And especially if you've got music on, so it won't be muddy, it'll be nice and clear. Now, the big question is, should you use it or when should you use it? It divides opinion. I've spoken to a lot of sound engineers about this, and they seem to fall into two camps. One lot say, yeah, you should always have your bass cut on, or you should always get a high-pass filter going and allow through those higher notes, cutting out the boomier bottom end. But others say, no, judge it on a case-by-case basis, because every voice is different. So some people, for example, might have a low bottom end, and that could also occur actually with female voices. It's not just kind of big male voices, it's also lots of voices across the spectrum. And it may be that it's sounding, the P's are getting a poppier because you're getting a sort of ooh, ooh sound. Obviously you're using a pop shield as well, but sometimes it still goes through and you hear that low end breath banging on the back of the diaphragm. So with those people, you need to have the high pass filter. You need to roll off that bass a little bit. And others will say, well, just judge it on a case-by-case basis and see what it sounds like. And if you need to do it, apply it then. But don't automatically apply it as a default. So what should you do in the case of your voice? I would say err on the side of caution and just do it as and when you feel it's bassier. Or try both ways. Put the low-cut filter on or the high-pass filter, take off that bassier note anyway, see what happens, and then do a recording without it being on at all. And see if you notice the difference. It may be you don't notice very much difference, or you may think that's a much cleaner sound. It's got that finesse, it's got that crispness and that clarity that I'm looking for. It's all about experimentation, really. It's trial and error, I think, in voiceovers. But make sure you know what you're doing as well, and don't overdo it. Okay, thanks very much for watching today. Look after your voice and see you next time.